Millions of Muslims journey every year to Mecca, drawn to a mysterious, revered relic embedded in the eastern corner of the Kaaba, the Black Stone. This ancient dark rock is kissed and touched by devout believers, symbolizing a direct link to the divine. Yet, beneath this veneration lies an intricate web of history, theology, and ritual practice that challenges the conventional narrative of Islamic worship. How can a religion that vehemently condemns idolatry center its sacred rituals around a rock? The Black Stone. The Black Stone, or al-Hajar al-Aswad in Arabic, has captivated believers and scholars for centuries. Physically, it is a roughly oval-shaped, fractured stone about the size of a melon, embedded securely in the eastern corner of the Kaaba, the cubic building at the center of Islam's holiest mosque in Mecca. Despite centuries of handling by millions of pilgrims, the stone remains mysterious, not only in its physical composition, but also in its spiritual significance. According to Islamic tradition, the Black Stone was originally a pristine white crystalline rock sent down from paradise. Over time, it is said to have darkened and turned black due to absorbing the sins of humankind. This belief imbues the stone with a deeply symbolic role, representing both divine connection and human imperfection. Pilgrims performing the Hajj and Umrah make it a point to circle the Kaaba 7 times in an act called tawaf, attempting to touch or kiss the Black Stone just as the Prophet Muhammad himself did. This ritual is not merely symbolic, it carries profound spiritual merit. The stone's role is further elevated by hadiths, sayings, and actions of Muhammad, which explicitly mention the Prophet's veneration of the stone. Sahih al-Bukhari, one of the most trusted collections of hadith, records that Muhammad kissed the Black Stone, setting a precedent followed by Muslims ever since. Additionally, Islamic eschatological texts describe the stone as possessing eyes and a tongue on the Day of Judgment to witness and testify for those who honored it during their lives. This personification is unique and mystifying, suggesting the stone will literally speak and see, a concept that pushes the boundary between the tangible and the supernatural. However, this veneration of a rock immediately raises theological questions. How does an inanimate object acquire such divine attributes? Is the stone worshipped as an idol, or is it merely a conduit for spiritual reflection? These questions strike at the core of Islamic monotheism and its vehement rejection of idolatry, creating a tension that few discuss openly. What secrets does the Black Stone conceal beneath its weathered surface, and why does its veneration challenge the very essence of Islamic faith? What is it, and why do millions worship it? The Black Stone, or al-Hajar al-Aswad in Arabic, is arguably one of the most famous stones in the world, yet it remains shrouded in mystery and contradiction. Embedded in the eastern corner of the Kaaba, the cube-shaped building at the center of Islam's most sacred mosque in Mecca, the stone draws millions of Muslims every year. Pilgrims from across the globe come to kiss, touch, or simply be close to this enigmatic rock as part of the rituals of Hajj and Umrah. But why does this dark, broken stone hold such enormous religious significance? What makes it so special that it has become the focal point of one of the largest annual human gatherings in history? Islam, a faith that explicitly rejects idolatry, places the Black Stone at the heart of its worship practices. This paradox has puzzled scholars, believers, and skeptics alike for centuries. Muslims believe the Black Stone was originally a pure white stone that descended from paradise, given to the Prophet Abraham by the Archangel Gabriel as a symbol of God's covenant with humanity. Over time, it is said to have turned black because it absorbed the sins of mankind. Despite being broken into several pieces and held together by a silver frame, its sacredness remains undiminished. Touching or kissing the stone is said to bring blessings, and the Prophet Muhammad himself is recorded in several authentic hadiths to have kissed it during his lifetime, making the ritual a direct emulation of his actions. Yet, this stone is more than a mere religious artifact. Its physical nature and the rituals surrounding it raise challenging questions. How did a simple rock gain such divine status? Is it merely symbolic, or does it possess intrinsic spiritual power? The stone's placement within the Kaaba, a site that predates Islam and was originally a sanctuary housing numerous pagan idols, adds another layer of complexity. The history of the black stone is intertwined with pre-Islamic Arabian polytheism, cultural continuity, and evolving religious practices. What if the black stone's true origins reveal a story far older and more complicated than anyone dares to admit? Pagan origins. Long before the rise of Islam, the Kaaba was already a sacred site in the Arabian Peninsula. Situated in Mecca, the city was a bustling center of trade and religious pilgrimage. The Kaaba itself was filled with idols representing various tribal gods worshipped by the Arab tribes. In fact, Islamic tradition acknowledges that there were as many as 360 idols housed inside the Kaaba before Prophet Muhammad's time. Among these idols, the black stone stood out. It was revered not only as a religious symbol, but also as a talisman believed to hold divine presence. The stone was likely a betil, a sacred rock that many ancient cultures believed housed spirits or deities. This form of worship, known as animism, was common in the ancient Near East, where stones, trees, and natural objects were considered portals or vessels of spiritual power. The pagan tribes performed rituals centered on the Kaaba, including circumambulating the structure in an act called tawaf, which continues today in Islamic practice. These rituals served both religious and social functions, uniting the tribes and reinforcing their shared identities through common worship. Historical sources and Islamic scholars like al-Azra'i confirm that the black stone was already venerated by the Quraysh tribe, the custodians of the Kaaba before Muhammad's prophethood. When the Kaaba was reconstructed during Muhammad's youth, he himself assisted in placing the black stone back in its spot, indicating the significance of the stone even before Islamic monotheism reshaped its narrative. The transformation that Islam brought was not the creation of a new ritual from scratch, but rather a repurposing of existing practices. The pre-Islamic worship of the black stone was reframed as a symbol of monotheistic faith, a tangible link to the divine covenant. Yet, the stone remained the same physical object, carrying centuries of pagan association. This overlap creates a fundamental tension within Islamic theology. On one hand, Islam vehemently rejects shirk, the sin of idolatry, emphasizing that God is unique, formless, and beyond representation. On the other hand, millions perform acts of veneration toward a stone that cannot move, speak, or act, yet is believed to intercede on their behalf on the Day of Judgment. Could this ancient pagan relic be at odds with the very principles Islam claims to uphold? Tradition or idolatry? The ritual of kissing or touching the black stone during the Hajj pilgrimage is deeply embedded in Islamic practice. It is rooted in the Prophet Muhammad's example, who is documented in Sahih al-Bukhari and Sahih Muslim to have kissed the stone during his lifetime. This act is emulated by millions of Muslims each year as they circumambulate the Kaaba 7 times, attempting to follow his footsteps as closely as possible. From a theological perspective, Muslims argue that the veneration of the black stone is not idolatry, but a means of honoring the prophetic tradition. They view the stone as a symbol, a point of connection to God rather than a deity in itself. The stone's spiritual significance comes from its history and role in the rituals, not from any intrinsic divine power. However, this defense does not quell the controversy surrounding the practice. Islamic texts also describe the black stone as having a tongue and eyes on the Day of Judgment, with the ability to testify for those who touched it. This literal anthropomorphizing of the stone is difficult to reconcile with strict monotheism, where God alone is all-powerful and no created object can possess such abilities. The reverence toward a physical object, which is kissed and touched in a religious context, bears striking resemblance to the idolatrous practices Islam condemns in other religions, including the worship of statues, crosses, or relics in Christianity and Hinduism. The paradox intensifies when considering the Quranic verse that strictly forbids invoking anything besides God that cannot harm or benefit believers. Beyond theology, the ritual also holds social and cultural significance. The Hajj pilgrimage is a communal event that unites Muslims globally, and the act of touching or kissing the black stone symbolizes unity, devotion, and continuity of tradition. It is a ritual that transcends mere physicality to embody spiritual and communal identity. Yet, questions remain. If the black stone has no power in itself, why do millions seek to physically connect with it? What does this say about human religious behavior where tangible objects become focal points for faith and hope? Is the black stone a harmless tradition or the heart of a centuries-old contradiction? The black stone and its mysterious physical properties. Physically, the black stone is about the size of a melon and consists of several fragments held together by a silver frame. Its surface is smooth and polished from centuries of human touch, yet its exact composition remains uncertain. Various scholars and researchers have speculated about its origins, with some suggesting it may be a meteorite, while others propose it could be an agate or basalt rock. Historical accounts note that the black stone has been damaged and repaired multiple times throughout history. For instance, in the 10th century, the stone was broken into several pieces by an angry mob, after which the fragments were reassembled and framed in silver, a configuration that persists today. The stone's mysterious nature is further complicated by claims of miraculous properties. Legends say the black stone changes color depending on the weather, or that it exudes a fragrance during religious occasions. Such beliefs add layers of mystique and supernatural reverence that defy simple geological explanation. Scientific studies on the stone are sparse, given its religious importance and restricted access. Few experts have been allowed to analyze the stone directly, and most information is second-hand or based on historical descriptions. This secrecy fuels speculation and myth-making, leaving the true nature of the stone open to interpretation. From a symbolic viewpoint, the black stone serves as a physical anchor for faith. Tangible objects often help believers connect more deeply with abstract spiritual concepts. Whether meteorite or earthly rock, the stone's importance is less about its mineral content and more about what it represents to millions of people across centuries. Could the black stone be a celestial visitor, or is its power purely in the stories we tell? Historical and cultural continuity. The survival of pre-Islamic traditions within Islam is a topic that intrigues historians and religious scholars. The Kaaba, once a center of polytheistic worship, was not destroyed or abandoned, but rather reinterpreted and absorbed into the Islamic framework. The ritual circumambulation of the Kaaba and veneration of the black stone are examples of this continuity. Instead of erasing the pagan past, Islam incorporated and redefined it, transforming it to serve monotheistic worship. Such transformations are not unique to Islam. Many religions have evolved by absorbing and redefining earlier customs to provide a sense of familiarity and continuity for converts. How much of Islam's sacred rituals are inherited from a past older than the faith itself? Idolatry versus symbolism in Islam. One of the most profound challenges posed by the black stone lies in its theological implications. Islam prides itself on being a strictly monotheistic religion that fiercely rejects shirk, or associating partners with God. The Quran emphasizes that God is unique, beyond human comprehension, and does not resemble anything in creation. The famous verse, "There is nothing like unto him," encapsulates this principle. Yet, millions of Muslims engage annually in acts of devotion directed toward the black stone. This includes kissing it, touching it, and performing ritual circumambulation that centers on the stone's position in the Kaaba. How does this compare with Islamic teachings? Muslim scholars often argue that veneration of the black stone is not worship, but rather a symbolic act that connects worshippers with the prophetic tradition. The stone itself is not divine. It is a reminder of history and faith. However, critics highlight that the line between symbolism and idolatry is dangerously thin in this case. The ascription of miraculous properties, such as the stone speaking on the Day of Judgment, blurs this distinction further. Moreover, the notion that the stone has a literal voice and eyes is documented in respected Islamic texts. This anthropomorphizing gives the stone a quasi-personal status, which runs counter to the idea of God's transcendence. It raises questions about whether this belief falls into theological metaphor or literal conviction among believers. The tension becomes more apparent when comparing Islamic attitudes toward other religious objects. Islam condemns the veneration of crosses, statues, or relics in other faiths as idolatry. Yet, the black stone occupies a similar role within Islam, which some see as contradictory. This paradox invites a deeper look into how religions negotiate tradition, symbolism, and theology over time. Could the black stone be Islam's greatest theological paradox, quietly challenging its monotheistic foundations? The black stone in Islamic mysticism and folklore. Beyond formal theology, the black stone occupies a fascinating place in Islamic mysticism and folklore. Throughout centuries, stories and legends have grown around its origin and power, enriching the stone's spiritual aura. Sufi traditions, which emphasize mystical union with God, often regard the black stone as a symbol of divine presence on earth. It is said to carry the blessings, barakah, of the Prophet Muhammad and his companions. For many mystics, touching or kissing the stone is an act charged with spiritual energy, a conduit between the physical and the divine. Folklore adds further layers. Tales circulate of the black stone changing color, emitting fragrance, or even healing those who come in contact with it. While these stories are not universal in Islamic practice, they demonstrate how the stone's significance extends beyond ritual into the realm of spiritual experience. The stone also appears in eschatological narratives, where it is believed to testify on Judgment Day. This idea portrays the stone not merely as a relic, but as a sentient witness to human deeds, capable of divine judgment. Is the black stone simply a sacred relic, or does it hold a deeper, mystical connection that transcends ordinary belief? The silver frame and historical repairs. The black stone we see today is not a singular, untouched relic. It is actually composed of several fragments held together by a silver frame. This frame is not only decorative, but functional, serving to preserve the stone's integrity after it was damaged in historical incidents. One of the most notable incidents occurred in the 10th century, when the stone was broken into multiple pieces during a raid. The fragments were gathered and mounted within a silver setting to prevent further damage. This silver frame has been replaced or repaired multiple times over the centuries, reflecting ongoing efforts to preserve the stone as a sacred object. The use of silver as a protective casing is significant, both materially and symbolically. Silver is prized for its purity and has long been associated with spiritual and protective properties. In Islamic art and architecture, silver is a favored metal for religious artifacts, indicating the high esteem afforded to the black stone. This ongoing preservation effort also reflects the stone's vulnerability. Despite its revered status, it is a fragile object subjected to centuries of physical contact by millions of pilgrims. The wear and tear from ritual kissing and touching have left the stone polished, but also in need of careful maintenance. The history of the stone's repairs highlights the human relationship with sacred objects, how faith motivates protection and restoration, even as the physical object ages and deteriorates. How does this ancient stone survive the centuries under the hands of millions, and what does its silver frame symbolize? The black stone's pre-Islamic pagan roots. To fully understand the black stone's significance, we must journey back before the rise of Islam to the pre-Islamic Arabian Peninsula, where paganism flourished among tribal societies. The Kaaba, where the black stone is embedded, was originally a sanctuary filled with idols representing various gods worshipped by different tribes. Historical accounts and Islamic sources confirm that the black stone was revered by pagan Arabs long before Muhammad's time. It was considered a batil, or sacred stone, believed to house a divine spirit or presence. This form of worship was widespread in the ancient Near East, where stones, trees, and other natural objects were venerated as dwelling places of gods or spirits. The black stone likely served as a focal point for tribal rituals, pilgrimage, and oaths. Pilgrims performed circumambulation around the Kaaba and kissed the stone as a sign of respect and to invoke blessings. These practices reinforced tribal identities and alliances, grounding social cohesion in religious observance. Islamic tradition acknowledges these origins while also narrating how Muhammad cleansed the Kaaba of idols, re-establishing it as a monotheistic sanctuary. Yet the stone itself remained, reinterpreted within the new religious framework. This retention raises complex questions. Was the stone's inclusion an attempt to integrate and sanctify existing traditions, or does it indicate an incomplete break with earlier pagan practices? Could the black stone be the oldest surviving relic of Arabian pagan worship, silently embedded within Islam's holiest site? Thanks for watching. If you found this deep dive into the black stone intriguing, check out our other videos and don't forget to leave your thoughts in the comments below.